What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video on this Monday morning. Wanted to come on and talk to you guys about the New York Jets offense, right? We talked about how after the Jets were making the change at quarterback, we were going to use this time to evaluate the offense, and it's only been one game, but I wanted to talk about kind of just update where we are in this process of looking at this offense. And we're going to start by talking about it again this week. There are still 6 more games left on the season, so we'll see how things go over the remaining 6 games. We may eventually get some Brady Cook action. Tyrod is a quarterback who's had some injury problems in his career, so we might even, if Brady Cook isn't ready, you might have to go back to Justin Fields. But let's just take a look at this game individually. I wanted to talk about the Jets' 2 newest wide receivers, and John Mechie is absolutely passing the test so far through 2 games. He had 6 catches for 65 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets in this game. Over the first 2 games of the New York Jets, 10 catches for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. Touchdowns in back-to-back games without Garrett Wilson. Look, the Jets passing offense in general in a very tough spot without their number 1 receiver, Garrett Wilson. John Mechie is absolutely rising to the occasion right now. Am I saying that he's a star wide receiver and someone who is your wide receiver 2 behind Garrett Wilson? No, let's not get crazy here. But can he be a functioning piece in your offense, a re-sign candidate to be your slot receiver? I think absolutely. I think there is certainly a world where next year the Jets go into it with John Mechie in the slot, another addition at wide receiver on the outside, along with Garrett Wilson. And then that leaves A.D. Mitchell, who has 2 more years under contract. He helped the Jets stretch the field a little bit in this game, 2 catches for 42 yards. Consistency is going to be the biggest thing with him. Can he find that consistency? He hasn't been able to do it through 2 years in the NFL. He had some drop issues and just not on the same page with Justin Fields a little bit in that game, which was his first game with the New York Jets. It might take a little bit to build up that chemistry with the quarterback, but can he be a useful player? Again, like, I'm not even saying that A.D. Mitchell has to be your number 2 wide receiver for this trade to make sense for the Jets. You're taking a flyer on a guy who was a second, round pick. Is there a world next year again where I mentioned Wilson and an addition and John Mechie, but then you add in A.D. Mitchell and Arian Smith? Is that okay for your top 5 guys? Maybe you add one more wide receiver. You have Isaiah Williams as your 6th receiver and returner. That suddenly looks a lot better than when you were trotting out Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Allen Lazard as your top 3. And it depends on what rookie you get, if you go with a pick in the first round, or if they go the veteran route, whatever, right? Like TBD on who they fill that in with. But this wide receiver room has turned around a great deal in a very short amount of time. Is it 100% complete? No, it's not, but we have seen some noticeable change over the last few weeks. Okay, want to talk some Tanner Engstrand, who I thought was up and down in this game. There's some things that Tanner Engstrand has done just this year in general that I've liked, and some things that I haven't liked as much. Something that I think will be a criticism just overall is they need to get Breece Hall more involved in the passing game. He had 4 catches for 75 yards, and he needs to have 3 to 5 catches every week. And there was, before this game, a 5-game stretch where he had 2 catches or less in each of those games. That there are very few running backs who can do what he can do as a pass catcher. And I know he had the fumble. He was fighting for extra yardage and unfortunately fumbled inside the 5, and that completely changed the momentum of the game. The Jets were down 10. If they score a touchdown there, they make it a 3-point game. Unfortunately, we know what happens, right? There was the fumble, and that pretty much sealed it for the Jets, and they would lose 23 to 10 in that spot, right? But Breece is a weapon, and I think he needs to continue to be utilized in the passing game, especially without Garrett Wilson, man. We're talking about, funneling targets to AD Mitchell and John Mechie which is good. Like both those guys had, 6+, I think it was 7 a pop, targets wise. There's no reason that Breece Hall shouldn't have, like I said, maybe 5 targets there. Mason Taylor too, get him involved in the offense. Something else that frustrates me with Tanner Engstrand is kind of the run to set up going forward on 4th down. Like there was the Isaiah Davis 3rd and long draw plays. It's becoming too predictable. Like I get it, you can catch a team sleeping that way, but when you do it more often than not, I think you kind of lose your luster there. And I think we're kind of getting too much Isaiah Davis on 3rd and 4th down. Like I get he's better in pass pro than Breece Hall, but I don't think you could afford to take one of your best offensive weapons. I would say your best offensive weapon without Garrett Wilson off the field on 3rd and 4th down. If you want to have the better pass pro, instead of going 4 wide, go with 2 running backs. Instead of going 3 wide, go with 2 running backs and keep Mason Taylor on the field as the tight end. I don't think you could afford to continue to do that with Breece Hall. And again, I understand from the pass protection perspective why you would want to keep a guy like Isaiah or put a guy like Isaiah Davis out there on the field. But again, I think you're limiting what you can do. Guys, think you know football? Then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day to payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use my promo code O'Leary. You can get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Or new offer, free $20 no deposit required promo. Terms and conditions apply. And speaking of going for it on 4th down, the 4th down call that the Jets decided to go for it on 4th and 2 from their own 42, I really don't have issue with Aaron Glenn going for it. I know many of Jet fans publicly, right, like Mike Greenberg, did not understand that decision at all and was saying that the defense was playing well, you could have punted it down the field and all that. You're 2-8. I don't think you have much of a chance to win on the road in Baltimore if you're going to play conservative that way. And Aaron Glenn said after the game, I trust my defense. So going for it in that spot, he trusted his defense to get off the field. It didn't work, but again, I would rather this coach show signs of being more aggressive than more conservative in a already lost season, right? Like what? So you have Austin McNamara out there and you punt. Okay, fine, but that's in a way give up. You're playing not to lose that way. The Jets were in that spot, in my opinion, playing to win, and it didn't work out. Right? It's not going to have a 100% hit rate. But I'd rather them go down swinging against a team that is significantly better than them. And look, on that, honestly, I did not think that 4th and 2 play call was honestly that bad from Tanner Engstrand. They came out, they threw. And look, I'm not going to pretend that I know how Tyrod's progressions were supposed to go on that play. I'm not in the team meetings. I'm not going to pretend that I know, he was just on his first read the whole time. And, he had to throw it to John Mechie no matter what. However, he made it very obvious where he was going with the ball, right? Like his feet were set up to the right and his eyes were to the right. And Mechie was pretty much the only player out over there. And he throws a back shoulder ball on 4th and 2 that's incomplete. And that's a very low percentage play. And if you watch the play develop, AD Mitchell's throws his hands up in frustration a little bit that the ball wasn't going his way, and not in at least my interpretation of it, not in a diva throw me the ball kind of way, but he was about to be wide open. They had Mitchell running an in-breaking route with Mason Taylor kind of going out into the flat on the left side. And AD Mitchell got his defender turned around and starts cutting towards the middle of the field as the linebackers, going out into the flat with Mason Taylor. So that part of the design, it worked wonders, right? You had a really good route from Mitchell, gets himself open. You take the linebacker out of the play with Mason Taylor going into the flat on the left side. And they could have picked up the first down. It wasn't a crazy deep play. It was, a 5-yard in route. It was, quick hitter kind of thing. But again, it was kind of predetermined where Tyrod was going. And I don't know if that was Tyrod just saying, John Mechie's been my best receiver today, I trust him to make a play. Or if that was like, this is your only read on the play. You know what I mean? Like, again, I don't want to say definitively that we should know how the play, from the passing perspective is supposed to go. That's unfair. There's no way to really know that. But point being, the play design I thought was a good one. So kind of up and down from Tanner Engstrand. I think there's some things to like about him, but there definitely is room for improvement from Tanner Engstrand. As far as the passing offense goes in general, look, Tyrod wasn't perfect. He played pretty much exactly how I'd expect a backup quarterback to play. Offense had 204 passing yards. Over the previous 5 games, the Jets were sitting at -10, 139, 248, 42, and 105. The Bengals game was the outlier, and honestly, their highest output of the season at 248 passing yards. And that's against one of the league's worst defenses. Now that they had a great offensive showing. They had like 500 yards of offense in that game, which was truly awesome. But outside of that, look, in the other 4 games leading up to this one, they really struggled, man. Against New England, 105. -10 against Denver. Carolina, you got 139, and a lot of that came in the second half. And then 42 against Cleveland in a win. They found a way to win the game, but and 42 or 41 of those 42 yards came on a screen pass to Breece Hall, which is just, again, kind of shocking. But we'll see how the passing offense kind of progresses over the remaining 6 games. I'm not saying that and not that I was ever saying that Tyrod Taylor was going to be the long-term answer for the Jets, but I think they kind of just needed to see a different look. They only scored 10 points, which clearly isn't enough. They did have a fumble inside the 5-yard line and should have gotten more points on the board. And this probably should have been like a 20-17 kind of game instead of a 23-10 kind of game. But whatever, the Jets are 2-9. Let's not go nuts one way or the other over this game. But that's kind of where I'm at with the offense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.